Hi, my name is Rachel, and today we're going to talk about and deep dive into a new fantasy book that is coming out this year in May called Spin of Fate by A.A. Vora, which is the first in the Fifth Realms series, which is a book that's going to majorly appeal to Naruto fans and Beasts of Prey fans and the Golden Compass fans. A book that I think everybody would be feral over if Penguin's executives decided to actually fund their marketing department in the way that they should and give books coming out the marketing the books deserve instead of Penguin executives hoarding all the money and doing basically nothing to ensure proper promotion, which is something that I'm going to talk about a lot this year because it keeps happening. Proper promotion of books helps books succeed. Only certain books are getting that when the resources needed to do it for all books the right way exists. That's right, in 2024 I'm going to constantly call out publishing for this. I feel very spicy today. I talk a ton about bad world building on here. Books that have bad world building get absolutely marketed to death. I mean, how many fantasy books can you count that I've talked about on my channel that have absolutely ridiculous world building? And how many times have I talked about on my channel what I wish authors would do in order to make their fantasy worlds fully realized places that don't leave me scratching my head? Which is very difficult because you can't just build a world. You have to create context, you have to create rules, you have to make this make sense to the reader, you have to marry it all together with your characters and their arcs, and you have to be able to write a decent sentence while you're doing that. I'm so relieved to tell you that this book, what I keep asking for, it is very well written. It is incredibly intentional in how it was thought out and then put into the book and edited. The author did exactly what she set out to do in creating a story inspired by both her Indian heritage and her Japanese heritage, and it dives into a lot of discussion that is done in a way that I feel is very well done around the theme of using religion to control others and religious authorities' exacerbation of the issue of classism. It's got three very different, very well cultivated main characters who have unique relationships with the world that they inhabit and the religion and the classist structure that is exacerbated by the religion, and it has one of the most unique settings I've ever seen where we have four interconnected realms that people inhabit based on allegedly how good or bad their souls are. And your soul is something that you can physically see because it is present on your forehead. Which direction it spins determines which realm you're eligible to live in. If you are in the lower realms, you live in danger, and your hope is to lighten your soul through good deeds enough to ascend. But not everything is as it seems, and there's both a resistance group trying to aid the lower realms and a council of higher realm folks in power trying to maintain that power. And there's also a king in the lower realms who is trying to break down the barriers between realms. And all of these groups are clashing, and caught in the middle of this are our three main characters, Aina, Arenal, and Maison, who all end up working with the resistance for various reasons. Aina had ascended to a better realm from a lower realm, but wants to go back home to her mother, who gave her a lot of mommy issues. Arenal has been sent by the higher council to spy on the resistance in the hopes that doing this means that he can ascend to the highest realm and be with his family in Paramos. And Maison, who's from one of the lower realms, just wants to reunite with his clan and do right by his clan because that's where he finds his value in, is being with his people. And this is also a book with a hard magic system as opposed to soft. The magic, the realms, and the religion, these are all very intricately woven together and interconnected. This is a book where you see that the author was so intentional in their design of this story. This is a major skill, and I find reviewing this difficult because it's brilliant. It's a lot smarter than I am. I've been learning over the past 6 months to make in-depth positive reviews, and the way that I've been learning this is by watching writing classes, particularly through Skillshare. I've used classes from Benjamin Percy, Daniel Jose Older, and Saba Tahir, and many more, and used their advice to write more in-depth reviews over the last several months. And it might seem weird to use writing classes to write reviews, but whether you are a writer or a reviewer, I think you can learn a lot from Skillshare classes on storytelling. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives. They have a wide depth and breadth of topics, everything from writing, marketing, music, illustration, photography, graphic design, and productivity. There's also a ton of writing advice on there. So many classes that I recommend, not just for writers, but for those learning how to write reviews and how to analyze a story and then talk about it. Even though I've been doing this for several years now, I'm still learning. They have authors that you'll recognize teaching classes on writing, such as Saba Tahir, Benjamin Percy, and Daniel Jose Older, all of whom I've taken the classes of, and I've benefited so much from. I just recently used Benjamin Percy's class to talk about using suspense as a storytelling component to take a mediocre story and make it shine. In Daniel Jose Older's class, Storytelling 101, he talks about the 4 C's, which is conflict, context, craft, and character. I take his advice on these and then I flip them to see if the story that I'm reading meets these standards, and not just individual particularly, but did it marry all of these concepts together in a way that creates a successful story and reading experience for me. And this helps me write a review that I'm actually proud of. If you don't know, Skillshare is an on-demand platform, and it has stackable lessons so members can learn at their own pace, no matter what your skill level is. You can focus your creative journey with Skillshare Learning Paths, a set of curated classes that build on one another, reinforcing your lessons. They are available in a range of experience levels from beginner to advanced. One learning path that I've been utilizing is developing memorable fictional characters, which includes Daniel Jose Older's class and Saba Tahir's classes, which I have loved, as well as a class by Lindsay Summers that I'm excited to take. So whether you want to learn the basics of storytelling or the basics of watercolor painting, or even start your own creative business, Skillshare has classes to take you from beginner to pro alongside a supportive community that you can chat with and talk about your projects with. For those of us in the author and review community, a lot of us are running small businesses, self-published authors, creators like myself, and Skillshare has classes on freelancing and entrepreneurship and marketing and social media. The first 500 people to use my link down below will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So whatever your craft is that you're looking to hone, whether it's reviewing or writing or marketing your book, you can get started today by clicking that link below to get your 1-month free trial of Skillshare. And thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring today's video. As I said, this is a very intricately woven story that a lot of care went into the crafting of, and I would really love for the publisher to put half as much into marketing this as the author did in the creation of it. No shade to anybody who's a working class person working in marketing at a publisher. I'm really frustrated with the executives in publishing. We're seeing this with St. Martin's Press, and I'm starting to see it with Penguin as well. This is a book you likely haven't heard about, and that's a shame, because having read it, I can tell you that this book has a massive potential audience. Again, it's for fans of Beasts of Prey, like me. I loved Beasts of Prey by Ayanna Gray, Naruto, and The Golden Compass. Penguin decided that they were, well, assumedly decided that they were just gonna like assign random comp titles to this that the author themselves did not provide. Got compared to An Ember in the Ashes and Avatar. Now, I don't know anything about Avatar, but I can tell you this has nothing in common with An Ember in the Ashes, and that is said by somebody who's a huge fan of An Ember in the Ashes. They're both excellent, but they have nothing in common. Having polled thousands of readers over the last few months, I can tell you that accurate comp titles really matter, and the consistent inaccuracy of them is causing readers to lose faith in them, seeing them from publishers. Eventually, it's not going to work as a marketing tactic at all if y'all keep using the wrong books as comp titles just to get the attention of another massive audience, but then you're gonna let down that audience when they find out that this book and this book have nothing to do with each other. I'll give you the official synopsis, and then I'll go over what I saw in the book and why I think that this is truly a special work set apart from so much of what is being published today. I talked recently about what makes a book mediocre, again referencing that Skillshare class from Benjamin Percy, which was so helpful to me. I took like 3 pages of notes on that class. That was so helpful about using suspense, not suspense the genre, but suspense as the storytelling tactic, into what makes a book not mediocre. I got some pushback in the comments of that video from people who did not understand what I was saying. They thought that I was saying all of YA fantasy is mediocre, and that is definitely not what I was saying, and definitely not how I feel or have ever felt, because so many of my favorite books are YA fantasy. My issue is that I see a lot of mediocrity getting published, that with a few simple like storytelling tactics we could have taken what was a very bland, mediocre book that will not make an impact on the intended audience at large to something like really extraordinary, which is what I think this book is. Also, I do want to let you know, again, this book does come out in May. I got an early copy. I got an e-arc from the publisher, and also the author herself was so nice. She sent me a copy of this in the mail, and I also want to point out to you that the author makes her own art of the characters. So I will link her down below, her Instagram where she posted this, but also I will add the link to the Goodreads page down below and a bookshop link so that if you want to pre-order this, you can. It does come out in May. I got an early copy, but I highly recommend that you can put this on like your most anticipated list. You can also request it from your library. So I'll have to say I did receive an early copy, but receiving early copies does not affect my reviews, as you can tell by the extensive amount of rant reviews I've done on this channel over the last few years. I was just watching a video from 2019 where I was like really mad about 1,000 Fires, which is a book that I had gotten an early copy of, and I was like so mad that NetGalley was like, you should read this, and I was like, oh, thanks for wasting my time. Anyways, this book did not waste my time, and it won't waste yours either. The synopsis says, Aina's world is governed by tyrannic law, a force that segregates people into upper and lower realms. It's said that if the sinful lowers commit themselves to kindness and charity, their souls will lighten, allowing them into the peaceful upper realms. But Aina, one of the few lowers to ever ascend, just wants to go back home. Aina is desperate to reunite with her mother, hoping she's survived the beast and the wars of her homeland alone. After failing to weigh down her soul with petty crimes, Aina joins a rebel group defying the authorities and bringing aid to those condemned to a life of suffering in the lower realms. Alongside Aina are two new recruits, Maison, a ruthless fighter trying to save his clan from extinction, and Arenal, a spoiled noble spying for the powers that be. Before long, the rebels find themselves in the middle of a brewing war. On one side, a violent king of a lower realm is bent on destroying tyrannic law. On the other, the authorities of the upper realms will do anything to stay on top. Now the young rebels must face both sides head on if they want to stop a conflict that could not only break tyrannic law, but the universe itself. This book does a great job of exploring in an age-appropriate way, age-appropriate as in the target audience of young adults will be able to understand it. So exploring the themes that it was tackling in an age-appropriate way. So those themes are like twisting of a religion to brainwash people, or at least keep them in line. The theme of structural inequalities that create and maintain oppression. Those in power causing those who are not in power to be subject to structural inequalities that make them who are not in power suffer. And what it feels like to be a young adult whose entire personality and every relationship they have is informed by religion, and also what it's like to deal with mommy issues. Now, you wouldn't know that from the book's marketing, which is again very unfortunate because I feel like Penguin has really not done right by this book, and that's another example of how. This is great for younger and older YA audience. It is not like a lot of books lately are like romantasy that are labeled young adult but then marketed to adult women. This is not that. Not that adult women shouldn't read books, but I think that the mismarketing and like not really marketing to teenagers is not really fair to teenagers. This has like a hint that there might be a romance eventually, but this is not a romantasy. This is a fantasy book with a hard magic system and great platonic relationships. Not that romance shouldn't be in YA books, but there are some teenagers who don't want to read romance, they just want to read magic and fantasy, and this is a great book for them. I think though that because the people with the money are the women buying romantasy books, and that's part of why Penguin isn't really pushing this book, which is not really fair. I did confirm with the author that these characters are queer, but there is no like, I'm not really sure what the romance is, who the romance is going to be between in the next books, but this does feature some queer characters, although it's not talked about in this book, and I did confirm with the author that this is a slow burn. As far as triggers, I will tell you that this does have some children being put in harm's way, not just the teenagers, but like younger kids as well, so if that's triggering for you, I don't think that this will be harmful. It's not graphic, it's not detailed. The triggers in this, I would say, might bother you are parental abandonment, children and others living in extreme poverty, and religious abuse. There is death and murder, but it's not very graphic. In general, I think that this is a book that if you prefer to read like non-graphic content in general, this is a book I would be comfortable giving to like my 11-year-old niece. So our main character, Aina, is immediately when we enter this world, we are in one of the lower realms, which is Malin, and she, in chapter 1, her soul starts spinning the opposite way, which means that she is eligible to go up to a higher realm. Her mom is not. Her mom is not very nice to her, again, mommy issues, and so she gets sent to a higher realm away from her mom, and all she wants to do is get back to her mom. I think that this does a really good job, again, talking about structural inequities and how living in poverty, how living like that day to day in your life, I mean, it says it right here, like I'll just read it to you. It says, living in terror made people easy to manipulate. This does have religious texts in it that people are expected to live by. Now those in the lower realms are not like, they don't really give a shit anymore because like they already live basically in hell, like what's the point? But those in the upper realms, these books are used to sort of keep them in line. And Arenal, who is the character that I relate to most, he is very kept in line by these religious teachings. He's memorized a lot of them. That really resonated with me because I grew up going to Christian school, so I still have a lot of of things memorized or talked about this here. He references things like, pure thoughts and intentions a pure soul doth make, but clouded with malice a soul doth forsake. And Arenal has a brother. They are sort of like in the guard together. His brother's older. Their parents have already ascended to the highest realm, Paramos, and his brother is about to ascend, which means Arenal is going to be alone. But you're supposed to celebrate this. This is probably the most impactful part of this book for me, is that like Arenal is going to be by himself in, sure, what is, you know, a nice realm, but he is constantly worried that he won't be good enough to make it to the best realm with the rest of his family. And this is a really good exploration of something that I've never, in a way that I've like been able to express out loud. This book is the best opportunity I've ever had to work through those feelings of how frustrating it is to sort of feel like when you grow up fundy, I can't speak for other religions, but this helped me like work through my relationship with my family and heaven. When you grow up fundy, you are basically told that everything that happens here, it doesn't matter as much as what's going to happen in heaven. And so, and they tell you that like all of your relationships that you build here are not going to be the same relationships that you have in heaven. Everything is going to be about worshiping Jesus all the time. And if you say that actually sounds kind of boring and also kind of lonely, I just want to be with my family, which is everything that I know, you're not supposed to say that shit out loud. So Arenal is really like a character that what it means to embody. And I don't think that this was written with the Christian faith in mind, but I can tell you that as a Christian, this is a really good unintentional representation of what it means to be the person who doubts and the person whose entire relationship with the world they live in and their family is grounded in a religion that they only follow because of fear of what will happen if they don't, which is a really difficult thing to write even when you have experienced it. I did not go into this expecting Arenal to be my favorite character, but so much of who I am is reflected in Arenal, and I was not anticipating that. So Arenal's brother ascends very early on in the book, and he's left alone. So then he is asked by the council to go down to a lower realm to infiltrate the revolution. Aina finds a way to get, she originally tries to do terrible things, like she even like throws stuff at the princess who's supposed to be ascending to Paramos, and she's just trying to get in trouble so that she can descend and go back to her mother. Well, she finds a way to get back to Malin by working with the resistance. Arenal also is working with the resistance. Now Mazan is separated from his clan, Cangelin, and that's all he has. That is all he has and all he knows. He doesn't know any life outside of life with his clan surviving together, and their numbers are dwindling because of the self-proclaimed king of the lower realm of Malin, who is causing a lot of war, just wants to be in charge. So all of them end up with the Balancers, who are the resistance, and the Balancers are made up of people who are from the higher realms but come down to try to help. And they are in, a clash with the higher council, who wants everything to be kept in order so that they can maintain power. And the council lives in Paramos, and Paramosi souls are sinless, flawless. They spin, you can see their souls, they spin forward with great speed, fueled by their various virtues and unburdened by vice. This is what you're told about what your soul means. Now Aina has a dent in her head where her soul is, so or like it's a little messed up, so her magic doesn't work. The magic here is a lot of manipulating like earth and water and things, but also eventually you learn that they can like astral project, which is really cool. Now the hard magic system in here was really hard for me to get a grasp on. This is above my head. This is above my pay grade. This is for people who are smarter than me, which is most of you. And Aina has trouble doing her magic because of the messed up soul thing, but she's especially good at astral projecting, which I thought was pretty cool. I think that that's cool that, sure, you're not good at this one thing, but you could be good at something else that somebody else is not. I think that that's really important for teens to see. All of them don't really like each other, and they, are all there for very different reasons. She's trying to get the resistance group, the Balancers, to help her find her mom. Arenal is just there, to spy for the preservation, which is the higher council. And Arenal has a lot of doubt, and I think that it's really interesting. Like, his story was the most, again, like, it really resonated with me. He's talking to the guy from the preservation who sent him there, and he's like, he's like, I don't understand, like, this is very much in conflict with what I know of my religion. Like, you're doing things that the preservation cautions against. And the guy says to him, there are times, Arenal, when we must look beyond caution and transcend conventional ways of thinking, situations where the merit outweighs the risk. And this is a really good example of how those in power in Fundyland, and again, this is unintentional because I don't think this author was writing about Fundyland, but in Fundyland, we are taught to do this mental gymnastics to assuage any guilt we feel about doing bad things, because the benefits outweigh the terrible things that we're doing. And them teaching this to Arenal while this is in conflict with what Arenal is seeing because he has left the bubble that he's been in is a really good representation of what it means to be in conflict between the secular world and Fundy world. And of course, he's manipulated by this guy by saying, you deserve to live in bliss along with the rest of your family. You deserve to go to heaven with your family. Don't you want that? Don't doubt, because that might take that opportunity away from you. Now, Maison really is the embodiment of, I just want to take care of my people, and I think that it is bullshit that I was born here, that this setup is how it is, and that so many people die, and I'm just trying to stay, all I know is my clan, I just want to be with my clan, I'm just trying to take care of my people, it's bullshit it was set up this way, I don't know anything else. Now, Arenal and Maison have a really interesting relationship because Arenal is, you know, like spoiled and prim and proper and comes from like the very high religious areas, and Maison is just trying to survive, and Arenal's never experienced that, but they both are equal in magic, if not, like, Maison is a little bit better. And Arenal is like, well, why am I not better? Like, I'm morally superior, why shouldn't I be better than him? And then he slowly learns, like, actually, maybe I am not morally superior, and maybe it's not coming out in fighting because Maison and I are equals and I am not better. Oh shit, this guy is not a bad guy, this guy lives in a terrible place. And then he starts to feel some sort of bonding for him, but Maison is very, very hard to reach because he's lived in such a terrible situation. I mean, the land he lives in is like full of monsters and volcanoes exploding and people fighting and barely any resources and death and children are being harmed. Arenal's never experienced that, and he's just very spoiled, and in comparison to Maison, who's like, fuck you, dude. Now, Aina is just annoyed and she just wants to go back to her mom. And her and Arenal argue about, you know, like religious belief, and he says to her, violence against another human being is wrong. He said, rankled by her warped arguments. Oh my god, it's every Fundy kid ever. And he says, there's a reason tyrannic law keeps Mayana, which is the realm he's from, peaceful and free of war. Is it wrong for me to respect that? And Aina laughs at him, and I'm like, he doesn't even know that what he's saying sounds so stupid. Like, you're from this spoiled realm. This is the guy I relate to the most, by the way. You're from this like spoiled, like everything's been handed to you realm. You are super brainwashed, and you think you have the right to judge these other people who have lived experiences that you have never experienced. And for her to just laugh at him was just hilarious. And then the leader of the resistance actually tells him, you don't respect the law, you fear it. You live your life in fear, how it will judge your soul, and you let that fear control your every action. Bitch, I was done. I expired. I was like, oh my god, it's me. I have a video where I talk about how I deconstructed ultimately and the day that my faith ended, and it was when I asked myself, why do you believe what you believe? And I finally answered honestly to myself, I am afraid of what happens if I don't. My entire religion, my entire belief as a person was built upon fear of what happens if I don't, and that's not faith. And he immediately balks at this because you can't get another person to deconstruct, they have to do that for themselves. He immediately balks at this, and it says, how dare she imply his morality was built on fear? And here's the thing, Arenal slowly starts to deconstruct, but he does not come to like the full circle end of deconstruction in the end, which is what I really liked about this, is that it is very authentic to the deconstruction process. You don't, in the span of one book, do that. That is a long process, because even when we leave Fundyland, there are things we take with us to secular culture that we learn that are so harmful, and then we just do them in secular culture. And Arenal is a really good example of that. I think that the way that these kids, these teens, like bond but never fully really trust each other, I think that you don't really know who's good and who's bad, and also you don't really know how they can possibly ever see eye to eye, and by the end they still don't. I think that this is so true and authentic to the human experience of how religion and poverty and class structure divides us. This is so smartly written. I mean, just truly an excellent example of exploration of theme. I will say that the mommy issues, when I was reading, didn't hit as hard. Then after I'm trying not to spoil anything for you. After I've sat with it, this is a really good example of a book where motherhood makes you hard. It makes you hardened against your own kids, and that made me sad. I thought that her mom initially, Aina's mom, just didn't like her, which is terrible. Like, books where the mom just does not give a shit about their own kid, like Ray Bearer, exist, and I think those are so good, and those really hit for me. I think that I was expecting that, and then it went a different direction where Aina's mom hardened herself because she couldn't handle it. She sort of decided to turn off certain feelings. Now that I've sat with that, it hits harder looking at it after the fact. Sorry, I always cry when I talk about mom stuff because of, like trauma with my own kids. I was not expecting, but now that I have sat with it, that's incredibly painful. Thinking about it not from Aina's perspective, because you tend to like think of like, oh, when I think about mommy issues, like I'm talking about issues with my mom, and instead this is flipped where I see myself in Aina's mom, and how sometimes because of trauma you harden yourself against your own kids, and you have to learn not to do that, no matter how much you're going through, no matter how much pain you've been through, and even if it means like you're doing it because you don't want to feel the pain of losing your own kid. So that hits harder, because normally mommy issues, I'm like, I have mommy issues too, but instead I wasn't seeing myself in the kid this time, I was seeing myself in the mom. So yikes. I wasn't prepared for that. It was very good. Once I realized that, I was like, oh, this is teaching me something. This isn't solidarity. This is painful because it's teaching me as a parent what not to do. That hurts. I see myself in the mom this time. That hurts. It even says, Aina, your mom does care for you, and in a better world, fuck, are you kidding me? Come on, man. In a better world, she might be in a better position to show it. I think that this hits because when you have postpartum, I went through NICU trauma, and I'm obviously just like mentally ill. You sort of feel bad because you think like your kid deserves better, and you think that under different circumstances you could have been a better mom. And I think that this is also having a conversation of how like poverty hardens you, and you feel very much like, I don't deserve my own kid. My kid deserves better. I'm angry. I'm not a good parent. If things were better, then I could be the parent that my kids deserve. And I wasn't expecting this book to go that direction, and I'm very glad that it did. Man, it really impacted me more than I thought, didn't it? Holy shit. Now, as far as like the plot goes, I think that this got a little slow because not much was actually happening. It's very introspective. Stuff does happen, but it's pretty long. So I gave this a 4.5 because I feel like we probably could have cut some stuff down, but the exploration of theme, the character work, so good here. And the magic system, again, went over my head. It's really difficult for me to explain it to you. It has to do with like how well your soul is spinning, how well you're able to manipulate these elements and astral project and stuff. I loved it though. I had such a fun time. I watched a little bit of Naruto, and it did feel very much like that in the magic aspect. So if you are a fan of Naruto, you have to read this. But really what stands out here is the character work and the exploration of theme. I mean, just absolutely incredible work in those departments. Truly felt like real and like just incredible work done there. The prose is good. I have absolutely no complaints about the prose. It's not overly flowery. It's made to be understood by who it's written for, which is young adults. And even like I think that like my niece reads at a higher reading level, so I would give it to her. But I mean, I think that this will appeal to adults who love high fantasy with hard magic systems and something a little different from the normal Arthurian stuff that we always read, but it also can be read by kids in middle school. Like, I think that this will appeal to such a wide audience of fantasy readers. We're doing a lot of different things at once here because again, we are in several different places, and we haven't even gone technically to like the lowest realm, which is Narok, and that's supposed to be like really bad. And also there's a lot of like magical creatures going on here, which is so fucking cool. Obviously the cover has like this magical creature on it. There's even more than this though, and like the magical creatures have a lot to do with the separation of realms. Very smart stuff here. Just a ton going on in all of it. You can tell like the author was just like absolutely living while writing this. So I highly highly recommend this. I really, really hope that you will pick this up. Please pre-order or request it from your library so that we can talk about it, because I need somebody else to talk about the religious stuff in here. Aranel, oh my god! So I'm begging you to read it. I'm begging you to read it. It was one of the best books that I read last year. Oh man, I can't believe I cried. Are you kidding? How embarrassing. Just truly, like, between Aranel's deconstruction process and then at the end when he's like he was so close and then he's not all the way there, I was like, oh, it's me. And then Aina's mom, I was like, oh no, it's me. So I can't recommend highly enough. Like, please pick this up. It's so good. And Penguin, I'm begging you to market it better. Oh my god. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Leave your comments and questions down below. Please leave like any question you have about this, because I would love to try to answer it for you. Thank you again to the publisher for sending me an e-arc, although please market it better. And thank you so much to the author for sending me a physical copy. I just realized that the book has been inside this room the whole time and I thought it was on my desk. I'm just kidding. Been a Fate by A.A. Vora. Oh, that's good shit. Oh, that's good quality shit. That's a quality arc right there. The author wrote me the nicest note, which I'm not going to read to you, but I wanted to open this to show you that it does come with maps of everything. So we have the 4 realms and how they're interconnected, and then we have the realms separated. Well, 2 of them, because this is where we spend the majority of our time, is Mayana and Mayland, the upper realm and the lower realm. Now again, this is an arc, so I don't know if this will all be in the finished copy, but I hope so, because I think the maps will be incredibly helpful, and also I am just a map girly, so shout out to the fellow map girlies out there. Magnificent Beast, unforgiving magic, epic battles, An Ember in the Ashes meets Avatar: The Last Airbender. Okay. In this propulsive, not to be missed high fantasy debut inspired by Indian philosophy. I don't know anything about Indian philosophy, but I can tell you that this is not Ember in the Ashes meets Avatar. I can tell you that it's great. Okay, thank you so much. Comments and questions down below. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye! Hi, before I go, I have to say thank you for being a friend to my Therapy Bills patrons, and I'm losing my voice, sorry. And those are Alexander, Brittany Bobitney, Cami, Chris, Christine and Bean, DJ Rocktopus, Ellie, Emperor's New Blues, Aaron with 2 E's, Eric, JC, Jack, Jesse, Jill, John E, Julie D, Kille No K, Casey McKenzie, Kate W, Caitlin M, Quinn, Lady Kittybug, Lemon Jelly, Lek, Night Owl Reader, Alice, Rachel C, Rain, Reese, SJ, Samar, Shadow Auntie, Shiny, SMK, Steph, Chai Guy, and the Salem T. Lynn. Thank you all so much for being here and being a friend. I appreciate you. And last but not least, I have to say thank you for being a friend to my Potato Starch Marxist patrons, and those are Abby, Alicia, Amanda, Andy, Angelica, Anita, Artie the Ninth, Ashley H, Ava, Ballads and Bookends, Beck, Blake, Lemon Pant, Blythe, Bookish Bats, Bookish Brainrot, Bree, Caitlin, Cardinal Ginger, Carlin, Casper, Catherine, Kathy, Chris, CJ, Clementine, Cole C, Colleen, Corwin, Corey, Darren, Deborah, Dex, Diet Goth, Dorian, Dorothea, Ebby, Ember, Emerald Dodge, Emily A, Emily L, Emma, Aaron, Ezra Moon, Fiona, Hannah C, Harpy Kuro, Haley, Ilianaka, India Inc., JM Tennant, Jay's on Olympus, JT, Jelly V, Jen Michelle, Genderqueer, Jenny G, Jessa Sue, Jillian, Jojo Bookish, Jess Pugsley, Kai, Kat H, Catherine M, Katie, Kayala, Kendra, Kiara, Kyla, Kylie, Laughing Cat Dog, Laura, Lazarus Ray, Library of Scars, Lisa B, LP, Luciri, Lustful Octopus, Martin, MB Marlowe, Madison, Marcella, Marquita, Malara, MK Books, Molly, James, Nat, Natalie M, Never, Nicole G, Nicole R, Nyan Binary, Paige P, Penny Chilling, Foxglove, Rachel B, Reba, Rebecca, Rivi, Rosie, Rowan, Secoria, Sadie, Samantha M, Sarah C, Sarah H, Sarah the Bear, Sarah Z, Shamed, Shannon, Sheen Onion, Sean T, Delegati, Talia, 3 Old Dogs, Tina, Toast, Trash Can Teddy, Tito Phoenix, and Writer A. Thank you all so much for being a friend.